A letter from the Planning and Zoning Department came as a shock to Richard Carlin. It said his flock of chickens is too big. Now he has little more than 2 weeks to downsize the flock he's been raising for 22 years.
And I built everything up, little by little. All the fencing and the back fence, the stockade fence.
The Suffield Town Hall has an eagle perched atop the weather vane, but Richard Carlin says this isn't an easy place to try to raise birds.
Our new zoning officer sent me a letter saying that I'm over the count, and I have to reduce the size of my flock to the zoning regulations that are in effect.
Carlin has nearly 30 hens that produce more than 3 dozen eggs per day. He sells most of the eggs and donates the surplus to the senior center.
Now I got the eggs for the senior center going over there and dropping them off, I'd rather give than receive.
But the senior center will lose their eggs, and many of Carlin's devoted customers of 22 years will have to find their eggs elsewhere. The town planning and zoning department has ordered him to cut his flock to just 10 hens.
That was all before we had these regulations. And then all of a sudden the regulations, the old zoning officer, he was, as long as I made corrections to whatever my neighbor would complain about, I was good.
New zoning regulations went into effect in 2015, which caps 5 hens per every quarter acre. Carlin says he should have been grandfathered in because of Connecticut's non-conforming property use law. And that lets establishments continue to use the land as they have been after new restrictions go into effect.
This time, looks like it's over with.
The Planning and Zoning Department tells me prior to 2015, a property generally needed a minimum of 5 acres to qualify as a farm, so Carlin should have never been allowed to have that many chickens anyway. Carlin says his hens don't bother anyone because there aren't any roosters to make those loud crows.
As you can hear, that they don't hardly make any noise.
Pretty soft.
Carlin doesn't want to go through the stress of an appeal, but he's still hopeful the department staff will change their mind before the August 10th deadline and let him keep his hens. He dreads the thought of having to remove them from their home while they're asleep.
It's kind of sad. I got to pull them off the roost while they're sleeping and put them in the crates.
Carlin has already begun the process of giving his chickens away. He's selling them to homes where they'll continue to be egg-laying hens. He says it's not too late, though, for the zoning department to change their mind. In studio, Littau, Fox 61.